OMG urgent emergency for all Bitcoin and ETHEREUM holders revolving light, exact targets. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point.
Well. Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave, and holy fucking moly, it worked. The O-face worked yesterday. Holy shit, I've never seen anything like it. I need to show you my numbers, except I actually can't show you my numbers because I don't have them on my screen right now. But I can assure you, there's a reason why all of these YouTubers are doing the old fucking bullshit, and that's because it actually does work apparently. Anyways, with that said, for all the new people here, I should remind you that the opening statements and perhaps even, or certainly even the thumbnail and description of these videos is usually not necessarily related to the content, as just having a little bit of fun because it is a cryptocurrency space. Why not have a little bit of fun in cryptocurrency? It's a whole smorgasbord of shit to begin with that we absolutely love. And with that said, plenty to talk about in the lower term timeframes for Bitcoin. I want to follow up on yesterday's short term timeframe target that we had from about, I don't know, I think we were trading just below 31,000 yesterday, then heading up to that almost $34,000 target, now coming back down over the weekend. So what does that suggest? What does that lead into? And could we even be looking at a major reversal here? That should be the real, that should actually be the real title of a video like this, but I'm actually just going to copy and paste an Crypto video title because I think it's hilarious. and honestly, like people think, I wouldn't want people to think that like I don't like Crypto. I actually like him. I'm friends with him. I've spoken with him many times. I've even done videos with him, but its video titles are fucking hilarious. So I have to have a little bit of fun with it. Anyways, with that said, putting the folks over here in the Krown Chain application, which can be found at app.krownchain.net, and is undergoing a major overhaul in, oh my God, is this happening like in the next day or two? I think it is actually. Okay, wow, that's actually, I didn't realize that we're so deep into January already. Jesus Christ, man. Anyways, keep an eye out for that. It's obviously free right now, and can be found at app.krownchain.net. Anyways, we see plenty of things on the dashboard as it is, and Bitcoin dominance, the first one that's kind of sticking out like a sore thumb once again. We've seen it come all the way down from about 73% to 64% over the last 3 to 4 weeks. So the reversal is real, and I am, I suppose, bullish on altcoins, at least the alt Bitcoin pairings. As long as Bitcoin's kind of caught within a range between about 31,000 to the downside and 41,000 to the upside. So with that in mind, Bitcoin's still, well, more or less ranging as far as I can see, and that means that altcoins get to party around. Now, of course, you know, for the most part, not all alts are created equal, apparently, as I'm certainly not the altcoin aficionado. This is not what the channel is really focused on. I kind of just get hearsay from people, you know, exclaiming that XYZ has an amazing run, and for the most part, you know, it's just not my game. You know, I'm a trader first, not a altcoin popcorn picker second. However, you know, if you do want to go to someone for that, definitely check out Elio Trades. That's the man for that. So you're not really going to find that sort of content here, which I should remind you because, whoa, holy fuck. I'm actually seeing this with fresh eyes right now. Fear and Greed Index ticked up 34 points from a 40 to a 74. Are we seeing a V-like recovery on the Fear and Greed Index? Hold on, but before we get into that, should you note that the open interest still kind of holding that same range, just between about 4.5 billion to, well, I guess on the top side we've probably seen about 5.5 billion. More importantly, though, we don't really see anything too out of the ordinary from what we saw from yesterday to today. Don't see any major positions being added. Don't really see them being taken away. So what's sort of the interpretation of that? More or less sideways action within the greater range, and with the short-term timeframes we can come up with the bias here. Anyways, moving on into the data tab, what do we see? We do see that the global funding rate is inconsequential once again. So this is actually a little bit more interesting to myself right here, especially as Bitcoin does come all the way down to that almost 30,000, or sorry, a little bit below 30,000 bucks is what we saw yesterday. Sorry, a day and a half ago, 2 days ago. Yeah, that's right. Once we broke the $33,500 level, which initiated those targets. Anyways, with that said, we do see several very interesting things here. So for one, the funding rate coming all the way down to basically parity for all of these exchanges. And I mean, parity I usually just say as 0.01%, but that is, you know, more or less the going rate. That is no major differences, and that's usually what you can expect. What's very interesting to me is that Finex is actually posting a negative rate still, meaning that you're actually getting paid to hold longs there, which is quite a nice thing when you're in a macro uptrend. Very rarely do you get a chance like that, and usually when you do get a chance like that, those are actually marking off some major lows. Now, we don't necessarily see a bunch of exchanges is, in the negative there. However, when you do see negative rates posted within a macro uptrend, that's actually usually a pretty damn strong signal. Now we want to see multiple exchanges. 3+ is usually my rule. There's not necessarily a magical number for that one like there is to the upside at the 0.1% region, but just by the nature of it being negative, I mean, it does kind of imply that again, you're going to get paid to fucking hold your positions. However, that will switch around relatively quickly, as you have seen in the past, but for now, it does align with a good short-term, medium-term bottom as we identified yesterday. Anyways, fear and greed index, you can see that we've had a V-like recovery. Again, you can't really chart this in the same way that you would price action, but it is very, very, very interesting to me that this actually is operating as like a Wyckoff distributive top throwback. Move to the downside, I forget exactly what his terminology is for that, and then a V-like recovery after that, which would obviously be your trap right here. Anyways, into the actual price action charts we go, because that is where all the fun is being had right now. And of course, I want to follow up on yesterday's short-term time frame analysis, because the last few days have actually been really, 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 really nice for traders, especially traders who are like me, who like trading ranges. And what was that? So again, we broke the $34,000 level right around here. If you're looking at a 4-hour, the same level is about 33.5. That initiated targets down to the 28.5 level, got front ran by about $300, it looks like right here, but within the context of a number that's about $30,000, it's really not much. So close enough is close enough in that regard. And then we said yesterday, if the 12-hour does close back inside the bottom side Toronto band, that would initiate any sort of a target between about $33,500 and $34,000, of which so far our high on this rally is $33,864.85. Anyways, let me just make sure that I'm recording the microphones and that the microphone's working, and it looks like we are good to go for now. And so, yes, what's the next sort of dilemma within this move right here? Well, seeing as we now have both the 12-hour and the daily close, I actually like both of these for continuation drive higher. Now, I need to be very specific with what I say here. So with Bitcoin putting in a low right here, this actually is, pretty good to rally off of. Of course, that's right. I should also identify this as well. 12-hour MACD does have some hidden bullish divergence here, actually, as you do see it making... Oh, sorry. No. We do. Not hidden bullish divergence. We do have regular bullish divergence. We do have significantly lower lows on price action. That would be 34,000 compared with our about $31,000 low right here on closing basis, and higher lows on the MACD histogram. So I do like that for another continuation drive, actually likely up to the 20 simple on the 12-hour. That's going to be right around 35,500. So I do think that this run does ultimately continue. The question is, does it continue sooner or later? Meaning, would we be looking for something like that over the weekend, or is it more relevant to be looking for on the actual trading week coming in on Monday, or I guess late Sunday, depending upon where you live? Anyways, with that said, we'll get into that in the lower term time frame soon enough, but looking at the daily right here, very, very similar. And what I want to document here is that there's a very specific signal that I'd be looking for to really get either bullish or bearish outside of this range, and it'd be this. While the DMI minus technically is dominant right now, it's not super dominant, and the ADX is just starting to get above the threshold as well. Now, a lot of the time you do see fakeouts within a region like this, especially in a macro trend like we're kind of in right now. So if you are going to be looking for, that sort of trappy behavior in this low $30,000 region before, having another move up to the upper 30,000s, low 40,000s, and probably beyond, if that, if that condition is met, then what we'd expect to see over the next few days, we expect to see the DMI plus start to head back up towards the threshold. The DMI minus obviously comes down, and then the ADX stays strong. If that happens, that is your traditional trap, and that is going to be a damn good signal that not only is Bitcoin going to pop back up to like $40,000, but then you really got to start looking at this as just one nice healthy consolidation and blast off once again, while we have plenty of shorts trapped. Although getting data on that as of recently is really fucking difficult, because no two sites agree with each other, funnily enough. Anyways, also, MACD histogram for the daily, very, 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 very interesting here as well, as we actually do start to see the histogram start to loosen up on that pressure to the downside. And again, this is coming within the context of, a macro uptrend here. And while, yes, we do technically have a downtrend on the daily, I still look at this as fine within the context of the greater consolidation, as long as we're actually just basically closing above the bottom side Toronto band, which is directly in line with our bottom side support from our regular charts over here at about $31,000, the same level that we've had in here ever since we got in this region in early January, late December. So this is all still relevant, and it all still plays off each other, and that is why I do kind of keep those areas in there so that we can reference them in the future as they do still hold weight. And in this case right here, If I had to call it right now, I do think that Bitcoin probably does try another move to the upside here in the short term, probably 34.5 to 35,000 bucks, and that could lead on into more impressive things. What would be the next most important thing after that to make me a little bit more inclined towards the upside here? Well. Your last lower high would be right here, right around 37,300. So Bitcoin can get back above this region on a 12-hour. Let's see what it would look like on a 4-hour. 4-hour, that same area would be actually the exact same area, 37,350. 350 being a great number. If Bitcoin can get back above there, then I'd actually be pretty damn confident in calling. I really dislike that term, the arrogancy. But I'd definitely be having a bias towards not just a retest of the prior pretty much all-time high at 41,000 bucks, but very likely this gets resolved to the upside because that is your proverbial trap down around here. Again, a very classical one. If those conditions that we just laid out are met, if all of that works together, then yeah, I kind of have to, not kind of, but I will be bullish on this. For right now, I try to remain neutral within consolidations like this. Yes, I do lean to the upside just because it is a former uptrend and my conditions for getting more medium to maybe even long-term bearish would still be the same as I need to see a 4-hour closure below 30,500 or basically any time frame close below there above that would do it for me. And then we could talk about targets back down at 23 to 24,000 bucks. But until that happens, I'm starting to look at this a little bit more as a potential fake out here, at least as it stands right now. Doesn't mean that it can't come back down. Obviously doesn't mean that it can't, break those levels to the downside. But as long as you're above there, I do start to look at it, or at least want to give it a little bit of a chance here. Let's see what CMEs are looking like. And again, this chart is significantly more easy to read than what we see on spot price action over here. And keep in mind that CMEs have already closed for the week trading. So we see both the daily and I think the 2-day close there as well. No, it did not. So sorry, it closed on Monday. 3-day, did the 3-day close? Yes, it did. Okay, so fair enough. Yeah, nice wick to the upside there. To be fair. Anyways, on the daily as well, same sort of thing. This is your traditional sort of trappy region. So if it is going to happen, it likely does happen from this region. Doesn't mean that it's a certain thing. It just means that it just means that there's an edge. And of course, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, and I think that most people can probably figure out what the fuck that I'm doing, based upon this information. Anyways, what else do I want to see? The weekly. Yeah, weekly has a nice bounce off the 9x Benchmark average thus far. But that also means that we have another edge for a downside trade here, basically just taking out this last week low. And then yes, I'd be looking for an extension all the way down to 23 to 24,000 bucks. We still have that gap very much present around there for CMEs, which was created I think a week ago, or not a week ago, about a month ago. Yeah, late December actually exactly a month ago, funnily enough. Anyways, still very much relevant, and again, at some point I do think that Bitcoin likely does come down around there, and it likely does offer up a nice piece of edge. But for now, is that timing proper? I wouldn't say so just yet. Again, critical areas right here on a wick basis, that'd be 28.9 on CMEs, or if I'm looking at spot price action, 4-hour closure below 30,500 would do it for me. And then yeah, we can talk about another continuation drive. That would be a $6,000 or $7,000 move, which is kind of fucking big, actually. Anyways, okay, with that said, let's go into our regular charts over here. And, oh, Jesus Christ, man, I need to pull this back. When in doubt, pull it out. And there we go. Let's extend this one over here. So again, this blue box is the big one to the downside. As long as we're above there, I still look at this consolidation. It can still go either way. This is your, well, it's not necessarily relevant for daily, but this is your 4-hour downtrend right here. So a lot of people actually will get bullish on a move back above 35.5. I would not. I would still wait for this area right here, 37,350. That's the magical number for me. This area right here is still kind of trappy for an opposite move, of course. Anyways, as it stands right now, let's go through the lower term time frames to see if there's any sort of a bias that should be had towards further continuation to the upside immediately, or if Bitcoin does come back down and grind out that 30,800-ish region. And looking at 4-hour, what do we see? We do see 4-hour hidden bearish divergence, which is interesting here because I was actually not expecting to see something like that. But yes, if it is very much relevant there. We are making higher highs on RSI and lower highs on price action. Fair enough. What would undo this? Well, very, very simply here, if Bitcoin does close a 4-hour dildo above this prior last high at 33,600, then yes, I'd extend this run very likely to about 36,000 bucks. That's the next, short-term test if you want to call it that. But again, I don't really short-term. Yes, it is. It is a nice move, obviously, but it doesn't really do much for structure. This is the critical area for me. This is more of a trappy area to the upside in comparison to this trappy area to the downside right here. Anyways, looking at 4-hour Stokes, what do we see? Still to the upside as long as we're closing above 31,112. Obviously, you can visualize the trend line coming in right here. The interesting thing about this trend line would be that it comes in right at the edge of the bullish control zone, which means that if, typically speaking, you will see a little bit of counter trend pressure around that region. It would also imply that if Bitcoin can get back above there, well, then that probably precipitates an actual breakout, back up to about 37,350, maybe even above that. I'd want to see where price action actually is at that point, but with momentum going up and then obviously taking out this area right here, well, now you successfully have reverted your trend and it's looking pretty damn good. So fair enough with that as well. Anyways, what else do we want to see? Let's go through all the lower term timeframes. Okay, so we got RSI, we got Stokes. HVP is actually still expanding here. Very interesting. We did identify this yesterday, and I did say that I'd be looking for it to likely go into a contraction phase soon enough. That also means that if we're going to go into a contraction phase, really wouldn't be looking for a breakdown or breakout anytime soon. I'd want to see this come back down at least below the 50 percentile here before I start to look for one of those bigger moves, which the 4-hour actually does seem to get relatively well. Let's go into the 3-hour over here. 31,337 is the magical number. We have the same sort of trend line going on from the last few highs as well. Actually, the same trend line literally works right there too. Funny how that works out sometimes. And if we do close above that 31,400 pivot, very likely we'll have a chance to actually close the next one above, but obviously I can't say that before we actually have it. And more importantly, we actually will be able to see this one together because it's closing in 1 minute and 8 seconds. So by the time that I finish the sentence, then maybe it'll actually have closed. We'll actually have the next, and then we'll have the next price for that, which should be, well, we'll just wait and see. Obviously, 3-hour did have a little bit of hidden bearish divergence here as well. The problem is that a lot of the time I don't see these calls work out over the weekend, which I do consider this weekend trading right now. However, if it does, then your natural target is going to be, back down to our current low structure, anywhere between 30,500 to 30,800-ish region, and probably another bounce implied there as well. So even if that does play out, I wouldn't interpret this as like an actual breakout to the downside, especially with the way that volatility is looking like on the 4-hour. I'd look at it as another opportunity to get another wick down around here, and then pop back up, and probably a decision coming in too early next week, this next trading week that is. Anyways, let's see, what is a buy hourly looking like? Buy hourly, same shit. Actually will be crossing back onto the upside with any sort of closure above 33.7, which currently we are well below right now, about $200 below with 8 seconds left to go, so kind of unlikely. But I'd keep a keen eye on that 3-hour, which we're going to see in just a few seconds here. Yeah, 3 seconds. And hourly is going to cross up actually with, actually right now, because we just got a new hourly dildo. So, how would I interpret this right here? Well, let's go back to the 3-hour for a second. See how this one is now responding around this region. Technically speaking, I would not consider this one broken just yet, but as you can see, it will naturally remain to the upside as long as Bitcoin is closing this next 3-hour dildo above 31,450. So what does that mean within the context of the current price action? That does mean that I'd essentially have a bullish bias right here. It looks to me like Bitcoin wants to stab back up somewhere around 34.5 to 35,000 bucks, and then we'll come back to it after that. I wouldn't really try to do too much within this region right here, but above 35,500, I would look for an extension of another about 2,000 bucks to 37.5 region. That's the big one for me though. That's the really big one. This one over here, I could look at this continuation on a wick basis with any sort of a wick higher than 35,650, and that is on Mexico, by the way, as well, or a closing basis just a few bucks lower than that, 35,500 to be fair. So I do think that a wick is probably just a little bit easier in this specific case. So with that in mind, You know, I actually don't think that these divergences are going to play out, or actually you could say that they already did play out, but those happen so fast that I don't even think that they're really not that playable to begin with. Needs to happen a little bit more over time. Again, that is the dilemma of weekend trading. But as it stands right now, yeah, if I did have to call it, I do think that Bitcoin does try another move to the upside, probably around 35,000, maybe 35,500. And then if it takes out this high, I'd extend that another $2,000 to 37.5. That's where things can really actually change, though, for my interpretation of this. I try to remain more or less neutral as long as as long as Bitcoin's in a greater consolidation range, which I consider this between about 31,000 to the downside and 40,000 to the upside. But above this level right here, it's kind of like, okay, well, that looks pretty fucking trappy, and probably gonna run away from that one now. At least that's typically what you do see. Anyways, okay, cool. We're already 20 minutes into this bitch, and I haven't even gone through the medium-term time frames. Let's do that right now. What the 12-hour looking like? 12-hour looks like it wants to take a stab towards a 21, just around 35,000 bucks. And by the way, we do see that 12-hour stocks are having a fresh cross to the upside with any sort of a closure above 30,950, or sorry, we'll maintain this cross to the upside, which is rather fresh from a low area. Do we have any divergences here? No, we do not, because we are in a trending move right now. And again, HVP very much red right now. Probably well, no, the moving average on this is having a downward slope. So I do still look at this as entering into a contraction phase, meaning consolidation, meaning that probably does bounce off the lows, seeing as we just tested that. And if we do head back up to the highs, it's probably going to sell off on that in the short-term timeframes and then set up for a resolution maybe this next week of trading. Anyways, moving on to the daily, what do we see? Ooh, very, very interesting right here. Remember that 35,500 number? Well, that seems to be popping up right here as well, as if we do see the daily close above that region, then we will see daily Stokes cross back onto the upside. What's also very interesting about this, that would be a rejection of the bearish control zone, which would be pretty damn powerful, and also very likely, or not just very likely, it would certainly imply a closure above actually even the 10 simple right here, which would confirm this as a local low. And if that happens, then again, your short-term target, like I said, is going to be 35 or 37.5. Sorry, I should say this is not financial advice, I'm not a financial advisor, but as you can see on the daily, that's actually not even really too much irrelevant for the daily. Real target's going to be like 39 to 40,000 bucks. So tack on another fucking $2,000 onto that, and there you go. It's a crypto Christmas once again now, isn't it? Red and green dildos everywhere for Santa Claus. But again, it's a long day left to go. I need to see those things first confirmed before I get super excited. But for now, I imagine Saturday is going to be sideways and probably a little bit of upside here. Again, what would be my conditions, however, for a short-term downside move? Well, I suppose the most obvious one would just be taking out this last 2-hour low. That's going to be 32,350. If that does happen, I would look for another retest down to about 30,000 bucks. So I do feel very, very confident about that. But that's only if it does close below this region right here, which currently we're about 1,000 bucks above, but that's kind of like a Bitcoin sneeze, I guess, too. Anyways, let's see, is there anything to be aware of on the 2-day and 3-day? 2-day bouncing off the 21, 3-day bouncing off the 21. And are we closing that 3-day tonight? We are not. Tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern time. This one looks interesting as it is, but I wouldn't say more until we get to tomorrow. Too much can happen there. Okay, cool. All right, let's go check out. Let's go check out traditional markets. I think that they closed the week rather strong. Yes, indeed, they did. Once again, kind of have to be bullish on Nasdaq. So if I'm going to be bullish on Nasdaq, I'm going to be bullish on just about everything else in this world, as it does seem to lead, or at least if I'm going to be bullish on Nasdaq, it does open up the more bullish interpretation for most other things in this world, as it just seems to be highly correlated with all techs. And sorry, when I say that, I'm really referencing Bitcoin, I guess, and most cryptocurrencies. Apologies if that wasn't clear. Obviously, that doesn't mean for everything. This is just representing the tech and financial sector, XOK and XLF to be exact. But I still remain with my 13,600 target. We did hit our 272 target, but this does not look like it won't stop here. It just looks like continuation to me. So do we open up next week a little bit on a pullback, maybe back down to 13,150, but I would look at that as a major opportunity. I would be looking at that as a major opportunity, actually. Still 13.6 overhead, and probably even more than that over time. What about SPY futures? Literally same shit right here. Not as strong as Nasdaq, but same shit. I'd probably be looking for 618 to be hit somewhere around 39.25 region. All right. Do we want to do a quick move on gold? Where's gold at? 1855. Man, gold is making it difficult right here. Probably does open up next week on a bit of a downtick, but okay, so we did get our move down to about 1830. to 8. I think I said 1820 to 1830 yesterday. No, it would have been 1830. So yeah, it did get front run by a few bucks there, but fair enough. Well, now I guess you can play the doji dildo, but that means waiting for either move above 1875 for further continuation up. That would initiate targets to about 1930 to 1950 once again. Downside 1802, and I would be looking for another move down to like 1776. It's a good American number. It's also the 55 on the weekly too. Anyways, I don't feel as inclined by this one, but I do think that it is showing some signs of reversal here. Yeah, slowly. We do see a few signs of accumulation on the bottom here so far, but it's still inconclusive. I don't feel too confident on this one. Okay, cool. Let's go check out some altcoins. Yeah, hey, these ones are fucking hot right now. How about Link? Link my dick, sir. Fucking dumb. Very, very good right now. Continuation still implied. I still remain bullish on this one. One of the best charts in cryptocurrency land. $28.50 to $30 is still my target here. One massive reaccumulation phase plus liftoff plus a retest, all flying with high colors right there. Looks very, 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 very nice. And for the love of God, don't send me any more fucking link messages. I'm not interested in investing in this. I don't invest in altcoins. Not fucking interested. I appreciate it. I appreciate the acknowledgement. It's very flattering, but please stop. You have to see my fucking inbox is just ridiculous sometimes. Have you seen this coin? Have you seen what Link has done? It's like, it's great, man. Really happy for you. But that's great. That's great. Jesus Christ. Anyways, what else do we have? Do we want to look at some Ripple me nipples? Wow, Ripple can't even. Man, this is pathetic. Well, everything else gets to rally. Ripple, no rally. All rallies fail. All rallies fail. What about Link Bitcoin? Looks very good here. Yeah, this is a move that we were speaking about earlier last week. I'd extend this probably up to 90,000 Satoshis. It's very likely to be good here. We're seeing, now we can actually see weekly Stokes pop back up, weekly RSI, major pop back up, even some hidden bullish divergence there compared to this. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. That really is some major hidden bullish divergence there. You're probably going to say, but Krown, this is your low right here. No, it's actually not, because that's a continuation drive ultimately. So fair enough. Yeah, have to be bullish on this one, man. Anyways, what about Cardano? If this one's bullish, then everything's bullish. Yes, and it is bullish. Oh, what do you fucking know? What do you fucking know? I'd probably be looking, I mean, just all altcoins are generally going to be bullish. I imagine that Bitcoin dominance is representative of that, but I actually haven't really, well, let's go see it. Yeah, it probably is going to fall through the floor here. The thing is that typically I would be looking for a bounce off this region, and I probably would be looking for a bounce off this region regardless of that. Yeah, I would. Actually, I very much certainly would be looking for a bounce off this region, but it's that bounce is very likely to fail. That bounce is very likely to fail. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of an altcoin time while Bitcoin does range. So fair enough. Congratulations to most altcoin hodlers, except for, I guess, Ripple, because that one doesn't get to join the party. What about Stellar, its brother? Looks pretty good, actually. Yeah, it does look pretty good. I'd still be looking for a move towards 45 cents long term. What about Mr. Buterol? Actually, let's look at Buterol versus Bitcoin first. Okay, so here's the biggest thing that I want to be aware of on Buterol coming into tomorrow's closure at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Any sort of a closure above this level right here. 3.64, let's just call it 3.65 million. I'd be looking for extension into like 4.25 million Satoshis and probably beyond. I mean, this is just going to look like a reaccumulation, or sorry, an accumulation phase right here, and then an actual markup after that. Yeah, that's the term that I was looking for earlier. Real target's going to be like 6 million plus. Nice. What about Buterol versus US dollar over here? What do we see? Let's go to the daily. Yeah, okay, so this is what we were looking for yesterday. Remember, a higher low to be printed right here. That's going to initiate hidden bullish divergence, which we do now have 1, 2, 3 stabs, and up we go. So that was confirmed right here. That's going to initiate a target back up to 1350, actually, for me. I don't trade this thing, but there you go. And we do see that this trend line going all the way back based in October of this year is still working. And more importantly, that has gotten a lot of major lows along the way. We're talking about the major low right here at, that was about 370, not bad. Then we're talking about this low right here coming out of this base at 315. Talking about this low right here out of this base at 540. Then this one right here at 600 about, and then more recently right here at this base at 1050, and then a little bit higher on this last one potentially. Now, if this next one does cross the upside with any sort of a closure above 1337 and 20 cents, not only would I have a target of 1350, I'd basically target the prior all-time high, and that very likely is going to lead into new all-time highs. Let's see if this is confirmed on the daily as well. No, it's technically not confirmed just yet. However, I would say that just taking out yesterday's high, which we came $3 of $3 shy of, it looks like earlier today, we'll confirm this as hidden bullish divergence. And this would also be very interesting because we'll have 1, 2, 3 stabs, and that would very likely imply new all-time highs. Targets down the road would be the same ones that we've been speaking about for a while now. Still looking at what is it? God damn it. Get out of there, you damn Fibonacci extension. About, what the fuck is that number? I can't read. 1500. Would be the next one, but very unlikely things that actually stop there. 1800 would be the next real target, and basically 2000 after that. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to hate an uptrend, and this still is higher highs and higher lows. So, by contrast, I could get very bearish. Well, I wouldn't say very bearish, but I'd say I could get bearish on this for a move back down well below 1,000, probably to $800 if we do take out yesterday's low. On at the very least a 12-hour. I would not use a lower term time frame for this. So a 12-hour below all the 4 ones, 1,111. Then yes, I'd be looking for that move to about $800. Bounces along the way, probably at like 950. It looks like. Sorry, make that 930. But yes, continuation would be implied all the way down to about 800. But for right now, I mean, this just looks like continuation of trend. It's looking more and more like we just saw a bit of a bear trap right there. And it wasn't necessarily even a bear trap because we didn't see open interest go up on that, obviously. If we go back to the dashboard over here, we've seen the open interest steadily go down. Still longs taking profits. Bulls still in control of this market, at least as it is for now. Let's see what caretakers ranges are saying right now too. Yeah, it does show 31 to the downside versus 34 to the upside. That's on an hourly though. That's actually not very, very, very relevant to what I'm saying right now. Yeah, the 4 hours actually getting a little bit better. That 37 number coming back up once again, and 29 wick to the downside right there, but still not exact. And I imagine that's just because of the just a function of the fact that we're on a weekend right now. Anyways, 31 minutes into this video, and I think it's time for me to begin to wrap some bitches up and send you off on your merry way, because you probably have better things to be doing than listening to old spaghetti hair talk about goddamn magic internet money. Or at least you should. Anyways, all right. How do we want to do this? Do we want to go back on over here? Yeah, we can start with this one over here. We can go to the 12-hour daily and then wrap it up a little bit on the short-term timeframes. Okay, cool. All right, let's wrap this bitch up. Bitcoin on the 12-hour did close above the bottom side Toronto band, as we did identify yesterday, which would initiate a move towards about $33,500 to $34,000. That has been essentially hit in the early morning hours. We do have a high of 33,835 and a half on Mexico right here, and with the way that the not hidden bullish, but regular bullish divergence on the 12-hour MACD histogram is starting to work out, I would be looking at this as likely to drive a little bit higher, probably towards a 20-cent moving average right here at about 35,500, which is very interesting because that would lead on into some very interesting things in kind of like an avalanche of effects in the lower term timeframes over here for our what's it called? For our spot price action charts, of which I'd start first with the 12-hour. We will see 12-hour momentum oscillators remain to the upside, actually crossing from a very low level right here, as long as we close this next 12-hour dildo above about $31,000, which Bitcoin's a clean more than $2,000 above right now. But if we go into the very low term time frames, the 4-hour and under, what do we see right here? We do see that 4-hour Stokes will remain to the upside as long as we're above 31,100. So momentum still to the north side right here. By the way, there is a competing trend line that I would want to be aware of, but that would also imply that we do have a couple of at least another tick or two of some upside there before actually testing it. More importantly, the 3 hours actually already tested that same region and does actually have a chance to confirm above it on the next closure. Funnily enough, what would actually do that? Anywhere above 31,450. So building upon that, starting to look actually decent here for another continuation drive to the upside. Like I said, 35,000, give or take about $500 would be the next obvious area. But that is where your counter trap starts to come into it's like you activated my counter trap card. starts to come into contact as well, because while technically speaking, yes, this is, your last lower high on a 3 hour and 4 hour, right around 35,400. This is not really relevant in my opinion. That is a traditional trap area. What I'm really looking for to get like more or less bullish on this formation and looking for an upside resolution on it would be a 4 hour higher high, or which would have subsequently also be a 12 hour as well. But that would be your 37,400 number right here, or 350 number right here. If that condition is met, then yes, I would look for another move back up towards 40,000 plus, and we can start talking about the same targets to 50,000 and beyond. After that, it gets exciting once again. Now, by contrast, there is a short-term time frame thing that I want to be very much aware of that could revert that, and that would be taking out this last 2 hour low right here at 32,400. If that condition is met on a 2 hour closure, then I would look for another drive down to this area right here, the same area that we saw yesterday between about 30,500 and 30,800. Now this is relevant for a 4 hour now. As long as Bitcoin's above there, I still do look at this as a bottoming area and likely to produce another bounce. That also does imply that if Bitcoin does break this region on a 4 hour, nothing less than that, could use a higher term time frame, however, then I would still have the same downside targets overall towards 23 to 24,000. Now I do err on the side of bullishness here just because of trend, and also we do see that on momentum oscillators like the 12 hour RSI, there is going to be there is not going to be any divergences there. Let's go to a daily for now, and what do we see on the daily? Is there anything to be aware of on the daily right here? No, actually no. But more importantly, on the daily, if we do see any sort of a daily closure above 35,400, which remember that is in line with the next short-term target to the upside. Again, assuming that the momentum oscillator conditions are met, which right now they're certainly very much being met, then that would be 35,400. So that means that if we close above there, then momentum will turn back onto the upside. More importantly, it would actually reject the bearish control zone here as well. And at that point, do I think Bitcoin's going to run another 2,000 bucks to 37.5? That would certainly be my bias. And of course, above 37.5, or just whatever this wick high is right here, I'd extend that run another 2,000 bucks basically to 40,000 and perhaps beyond. But for right now, I'd basically be looking for a little bit of sideways and up action over the beginning of the weekend. And I think that's a good place for me to leave it off. I'd like to wish you the best once again. Take care, and until next time.